the best of national, local, international news and sport. Tune in to News Punch and Diamond 88.7 FM. News Punch, all about the news.
It's 1 minute gone past 9 a.m. Good morning and thank you for joining us on today's edition of News Punch on Diamond 88.7 FM Ilorin, where we'll bring you the trending stories across the globe this morning. I am Tobi, Adebisi, and here are the news making waves across the world this morning. The camps of the All Progressives Congress and the Social Democratic Party in Ekiti State are both hopeful of favorable judgments in the dispute over the June 8 governorship election to be determined today by the Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal. Dissatisfied with the declaration by the Independent National Electoral Commission of the APC candidate Biodun Oyebanji as the winner of the election, the SDP and its candidate Chief Segun Oni had filed a petition before the tribunal urging it to declare SDP winner, having allegedly scored the highest number of valid votes. The three-member tribunal led by Justice Wilfred Bochi had on November 23 reserved judgment after listening to the sides in the matter. The tribunal later communicated to the parties that the judgment would be delivered today. The commandant of the Amotekun Corps in Oyo State, Colonel Olayinka Olayonju, retired, has said the security outfit has rid the Lagos-Ibadan expressway of kidnappers. He said in the last 6 weeks that members of the security outfit moved to the road. No kidnap case has been recorded on the road. He added that the suspected abductors of a former Deputy Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Professor Adigun Agbaje, and others had been arrested and their weapons recovered. On the foreign scene, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has announced another 10 billion euros in support to address rising prices following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. He said the government would protect the middle class and workers amid the rise in the cost of living, energy and food. The proposals include cuts to value-added tax, VAT, and a 200 euros one-off payment for millions of households on less than 27,000 euros a year. It's Spain's third set of aid measures and brings total support to 45 billion euros. Spain has succeeded in bringing down inflation in recent months to 6.8%, the lowest rate in the European Union and the lowest figure since the Russian invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, but food price inflation is far high. In sports, Manchester United made a positive start to life without Cristiano Ronaldo as Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial stepped out from the Portuguese shadow to score in a 3-0 win over Nottingham Forest last night. Rashford has been a player transformed under Ten Hag and carried his fine form for England at the World Cup into the Premier League's return. A brilliantly worked corner opened the floodgates for United as Christian Eriksen picked out an unmarked Rashford inside the area to sweep into the top corner. Forest were without their first-choice goalkeeper Dean Henderson as he's on loan from United, and his understudy Wayne Hennessy was culpable when the home side doubled their head just 3 minutes later. That's all we have for you on this edition of the News Sponge. Up next is the Diamond Breakfast Show, where we'll bring you the analysis of the stories. Stay tuned.
The major talking point in Nigeria are always on the lips of the citizens.
What's going on in this country? Look at smaller countries taking lead, and you call yourself giant of Africa. Yeah.
Nigeria don't spoil my business too much. Nigeria is too hard for us. I mean, they want to kill us. Father, not kill us for Nigeria. Oh, please, help us beg them.
They should reduce their expenditure so that they can free enough money for social development.
I wish for a Nigeria where we elect a leader based on competency and not popularity.
On the Diamond Breakfast Show, we place the spotlight on the critical issues in the country.
Government that says they are broke can prioritize construction of an additional runway over education of the people.
How can you run Indomine? This is intolerable. It's provocative.
Now, you see, when you look at our democratic journey, we are yet to practice genuine democratic system in Nigeria.
Join us on Mondays to Friday on the DBS from 9 to 10 a.m. The Diamond Breakfast Show, amplifying the voice of the people.
From the studios of Diamond 88.7 FM in Lorry, this is the Diamond Breakfast Show.
Welcome back to the Diamond Breakfast Show on Diamond 88.7 FM, a production of the News and Current Affairs Department. And without further ado, let's get straight into the analysis of the stories making the rounds this morning. I am Tobi Adebisi, and to do this with me this morning is Mr. Sakaria Lawal Abioduyita, Head of History Department, Kwara State College of Education. Good morning, sir, and it's nice to have you in the house.
Good morning, Toby. Good morning, Nigeria. Happy this Christmas festive season, and wish all of us a new year in advance.
Nice to have you, and nice also compliments to you too. So the first issue we'll be looking at is on this edition of Diamond Breakfast Show is the proposed new government agencies by the Senate. So the Senate proposed the establishment of 376 new agencies and institutions, despite moves by the federal government to restructure the public service in line with the Steve Orosoye Committee report on restructuring and rationalization of federal government parastatals, agencies and commissions. So the report recommended the scrapping or merging of some ministries, departments and agencies in order to reduce the cost of governance. A white paper committee set up by the federal government to review the parastatals, agencies and commissions created since 2014 submitted a draft report in August 2022. So the federal government also in November last year inaugurated subcommittees headed by former heads of service of the Federation, Bukar Aji, Amapepu Oladakwa Folabi, on the implementation of the Orosai report, while the Ebele Okeke committee was to draft a white paper on the Amapepu committee report and harmonize the other committee reports. So there's a lot going on actually. Other committees, come up with white papers, while there's a committee which is to review those white papers and then bring all of them together and see how they can be worked with. So the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, had said that the federal government would soon conclude the process of restructuring the public service. But findings by newsmen indicate that the 9th Senate has passed a total of 1,070 bills, including 376 establishment bills for the creation of various institutions and agencies in spite of the economic challenges facing the country. And according to statistics, 8.2 trillion naira has been earmarked for recurrent expenditure in the proposed 20.51 trillion 2023 budget, which constituted 43% of the entire budget's profile. Well, at this point, looking at all of this going on together, do you think we need establishment of new agencies of government with the present realities that we have?
Well, Nigeria, whether I would like it or not, the bitter truth is that the current of expenditure is abysmally higher. And the cost of governance in this country is just keep growing every day. And when you now borrow to finance government, there is no how we'll be running deficit year in, year out. And when you now look at it, government is trying to let us see how they want to cut cost of governance. And I believe this thing started especially in the area of civil service reform, restructuring, rationalization, and what have you during the Obasanjo era, 2006. However, Goodluck Jonathan was the one who inaugurated Steve Orosanye Committee. That was sometimes August 2011. So that shows that they have seen and they have admitted that the cost of governance is too high. How are we reducing them? How are we trying to bring down this cost of governance? This expenditure there and there. So they bring up this committee to look at which of these agencies are duplicating functions, which one are overlapping, which one are due for merger, and which one are due for scrapping. You can see these are the areas that, okay, we have too many agencies, we achieve little. Why did we have it? It's about MDAs, ministry, department, and agencies. How are we going to bring them into a sizable number where Nigerian money will not just be going in servicing those agencies? You see, by the time when you have agencies, you go beyond just the staffs that are working there, who are civil servants. They still have the political heads in terms of board, in terms of council, in terms of even chancellors, pro-chancellors in some of the universities and other government federal institutions, where we still have some politicians that were appointed into these areas to manage, and all boils down to money. So therefore, there is need to bring up this. If the government is sincere, then they now say, okay, let us see how we bring it up. And that was how Orosanye Committee came on board. Unfortunately, when he submitted his report, not much was done until after this COVID-19 issue. That the dawn of the reality now dawn on Nigerian government that there is no how they can fund this. Let us revisit Orosanye Committee. And that was why the issue of Bukaji, Amapepu, and Afolabi, who happened to be former head of the Civil Service of Federations, were put together in order to see how they can harmonize this report, one, and come up with a report that is practicable. That is one. On the side of the National Assembly, you see, there is this separation of power. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. To the legislature, they are doing their own job.
Passing bills to establish new ones, because the reality is that while the federal government is trying to scrap and merge many agencies and commissions, the legislature is busy passing bills to establish new ones. So
that
now
is their job.
To pass bills.
To pass bills. You represent a constituency, and you know this is what your constituency wants. You sponsor bill along that line. This bill passing through the first stage, second stage, committee level, up to the level by which they now have a concurrence between the Senate and the House of Representatives before passing to the presidency. Now at that level, the presidency will now be the one to streamline. That is why this democracy is very good, check and balances. Now say, okay, these excesses that you have passed, we cannot take this. We have over bloated agencies already that we are trying to streamline. But you are bringing all these other ones now. This cannot be. Even let me tell you, after they must have assented to some of these things, this has to pass through other legislative, executive processes before it becomes something that will come to reality. However, a community that is marginalized, in whatever form, whether government establishment, whether government institutions, they were marginalized. Their representative will never keep quiet. And that is why you see them sponsoring bills for the establishment of tertiary institutions, for the establishment of health institutions and other things. Imagine the deputy senate president who happened to look for how he can get a polytechnic to his area in Delta State. Yeah. And this was something like that are also going, even in Kwara State here. You can see a lot of this, like the Federal Medical Center in Fufu, sponsored by one of the honorable from Kwara State.
I have to cut you. One of those things. I have to cut you. I'm so sorry about that. Please hold your thoughts. We'll go on a short commercial break and we will be right back. We're still discussing about the proposed merging and scrapping of commissions, agencies, and parastatals in Nigeria. So stay with us on the Diamond Breakfast Show. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Diamond 88.7 FM, shining supreme.
Shine bright like a diamond.
I'm having stomach upset.
Oh, sorry. Let me quickly go and get you Ultimate Antacid Suspension.
Really?
This medication is used to treat the symptoms of too much stomach acid, such as stomach upset, heartburn, and acid indigestion. Yes, it's also used to relieve symptoms of extra gas, such as belching, bloating, and feelings of pressure or discomfort in the gut. With Ultimate, you can achieve great spontaneous relief from gastric hyperacidity. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor. Ultimate,
a product of Biomedical Limited.
Your dreams of owning a home in an organized, well laid out, secured environment with 24-hour stable electricity and portable drinking water is within your reach. Grab this once in a lifetime opportunity as Las Vegas Imperial Estate offers for sale 50 plots of land measuring 450 square meters per plot at 8 million naira. That is a massive 2 million naira off the normal rate of 10 million naira per plot. This end of the year promo lasts from November 10, 2022 to January 31st, 2023. Payments can be made in installments within these 3 months, while outright payments attract a 5% discount. Las Vegas Imperial Estate is located right behind Kwara State House of Assembly Complex, overlooking the Asta Dam water. For inquiries, contact 0806 286 5734 or 0803 046 1993. Las Vegas Imperial Estate, luxury and comfort.
You're listening to Diamond 88.7 FM, shining supreme.
Shine bright like a diamond.
So welcome back to the Diamond Breakfast Show on Diamond 88.7 FM. It's a production of our News and Current Affairs Department. And let's move on in the discourse about the proposed scrapping and merging of parastatals and commissions and agencies. Now, why do you think it's difficult because this report has been on the table, like you said, since about 2014, 2011. So why is it difficult for it to be implemented? Because, like you said, it has been established. They know. The government has known for a long time that something like this had to happen. And for the longest of period also, Nigerians have been clamoring for cutting down governance costs and all of that. And we see something like this, something as good as this, that would benefit the whole country and all of that just happening now, just, being considered seriously now. So why do you think it is difficult for the federal government to implement it?
Well, the first thing is that there is no political will on the part of those who have the power from the presidency, let me just use that word, because they are the one that are supposed to cut the shots. Even look at it. Immediately, after they exhume the reports, they now set up this white paper review committee, Abuaji, Amapepu, and Afolabi. Do you know they actually kick against so many of these recommendations made by the Steve Orosanye himself? Nigeria, there are some other interests that always come up whenever we are to take a decisive decision. One, we consider what will be the effect and what have you, or even the consequences. Once that consequences will affect, quote and unquote, those they perceive their people, whether on ethnic ground, whether on tribal ground, whether on political affiliations and what have you, that thing will never be allowed to see the light of the day. Imagine when they say, okay, the FRCN, that is the FRCN, NTA, and even one other Voice of Nigeria should be merged into a singular entity. They kick against it. Then even the issue of Federal Airport Authority, NEMA, and one other agency should be merged and form another entity. They kick against it. Even those that actually been the one that will at least, review to come up with 5-paper report committee. So this has shown that even within those that have that thing, there are some other considerations of, let me say, biasness on their own part too, in order to come up with, look, although these are the recommendations, but how can we go about A to Z? It has become the problem. Now, even when you ask the government to merge who is he going to merge? To scrap who is he going to scrap? And we have seen these agencies that are having, overlapping and all some of, doing the same function, duplication of functions. This has not been done. So this is one of it. Two, the bureaucracy that are involved in getting these things done. You see, this is what we call red tapeism. As far as the Nigeria governance is concerned, you have to raise memo from one table to the other. When you get to the one, after they must have approved or sent whatever with the red Bible, the thing will still come down. As it's coming where the table where this memo is being generated, it will take a long time before you get to the final destination. When after the approval from the final destination, it will still follow other tables down to the so it takes time. All these things may not want it to happen. And another thing is that even there are saboteurs along the line, especially when some of these civil servants, one of the things they are having fear of is that they are going to lose their job. And so you can't allow somebody, when I know a particular memo will be passing through me, which at the end of the day, that memo when implemented will make me lose my job.
That's one of the that's one of the areas that I wanted us to discuss. So it's good that you have mentioned
so
it.
So that
also.
one, there will be always every every effort will be put in place to make sure that kind of memo does not see the light of the day. However, it is the federal government that's supposed to come up with a kind of Marshall Plan, how to resettle whoever or those that may affected in the line of doing this rationalization or restructuring of federal civil service and what have you, or this merger of agencies. How are they going to address them? Because in 1975, when there is this civil service reform thing by the then Muritala Mohammed administration, so many people were laid off arbitrarily, and actually many people and many families became shattered, and as a result of that, as people would try to applaud Muritala government or administration, this set of families that were as a result of that purging were badly affected. We never see that government in a very good light of something. So these are the areas by which the federal government, in the quest of trying to implement this restructuring and rationalization, they should think of how they want to rehabilitate whoever may have been the victim of this.
Okay, now, but this, I want it to be a yes or no answer question. Do you think that this report is implementable in Nigeria? Is it something that we can do?
Yes, it's implementable.
Now, if it's, let's now say it doesn't work, because as we're looking at the positive sides, let's also look at the other sides too. How do you think, if it doesn't work, how do you think that the federal government can reduce recurrent expenditure to give room for more money allocation for capital projects? Because the truth is, we need more. We need to save more, and we need to just make more money also.
Well, the first thing I told you in the first instance is that there must be a political will. This political will we are saying is that it's not about only the civil servants that are working there. What about the political appointees? Why can't we reduce the number of board members, council members, and what have you to the barest minimum? For instance, take a university, for instance. You have the pro-chancellor, you have the governing council, you have all this, even the chancellors who are there. All these things As you now have it in one university, see the number of about 42 federal universities in Nigeria. They have it in Federal Polytechnic, they have it in Federal Colleges of Education, they have it in AMTI, they have it in Nestra. You can see.
And many of these
people are money. So why are we not going to see how we can, if possible, scrap that? But you know why it will not be possible? Because those that were favored with this appointment are the politicians who contested one elections or the other and lost. So the only way they can compensate them is to give them that kind of appointment. It's not about competency. It's not about how they had value.
It's not about what they do. No. Because you talked about pro-chancellors and chancellors in universities. And I can attest to that because while I was in the university, I only saw the pro-chancellor or the chancellor maybe once or twice. They only came to give speech on a
during the convocation. They don't have that business. It's only when they want to take a key decision on the university that you see them converging. We are not saying that they should be totally scrapped, but the number should be drastically reduced. That is number one. Two, even within the federal civil service, there are some areas that not much are needed there. Why can't you do what we call rationalization? Moving people from the area where they have overbloated to the areas where they didn't see people in such a way where they have this shortage of manpower. And that there is another area by which we see have, you will see every time they will say ghost workers. Who are those creating ghost workers?
Ghost workers.
Who are those creating them? Have they found anybody guilty? Before somebody will be given appointment letter, somebody must have been at a particular table that signed it. Then who are they? Have they not been if they have been brought to book, the issue of ghost workers will not be there. Let me tell you in the reality of it, the number of the civil service servants they are quoting is far less than those on the field. Because there are so many sharp practices and what have you. Even with this IPPIS, which the government is using as a mechanism, as an instrument to reduce the cost of governance and what have you, in terms of payment of salaries of these federal workers, let me tell you, is that not the same platform by which the former Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed, was accused of this siphonning the money? So if the IPPS that we trust also can be a conduit pipe where some politicians, where some civil servants can actually siphon the money, then automatically Nigeria needs to look more into that, especially in the area of those that were manning the civil service, the civil service of the Federation, where we have this number of bulky stars that are collecting bogus salaries. We now have those that are collecting salaries, they are not even in the job. So that is why, for over many years now, there has not been employment. There has been a kind of ban. The embargo has been placed on the employment. Now, where are those that are now making money? Even in the last 20 years, you have not been recruited. People are going on retirement. People were dying. People were moving outside of the service for one reason or the other, dismissal and what have you. Then what about those spaces that were been left? Who are those filling it?
Filling the spaces.
Who are those filling the spaces? Then somebody has not been telling us the truth. Whether the political head, whether the administrative head, so many cutting corners were going on, which the federal government, if there is a political will, can actually punch their torchlight to, so that they can do a kind of what we call sanity within the system.
All right, thank you so much.
Something that is useful for Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Sakaria. We'll go on a short commercial break and we'll be right back. But in the meantime, I know that you have a lot to say about the topics that we're discussing this morning. You can send your text messages. Please text messages only to 080 299 26951. 080-299-26951 for text messages only. And when we get back, we get to take your text messages, take your calls, and also get to also proceed. Also, when we come back, we're going to be discussing the price hike of food items. It's been, it's a crazy environment for us in Nigeria recently. I even saw documentaries. I saw news during the Christmas that, marketers were complaining of citizens, of people not coming to the market to come buy
Low
meat.
patronage.
Low patronage or none at all. It's crazy, and we need to talk about it. So, and the NBS also has something to say about that. So when we get back from this break, it's still an interesting show. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
You're listening to Diamond 88.7 FM, shining supreme.
Shine bright like a diamond.
kára ó lè pé bá ara ríro kò sí mọ́ àwọn ká ti sá lọ àrùnmọ́lẹ́gùn ẹ̀yìn dídùn làkúrẹ́ ìgbé wọ́n ti lọ wá bí wọ́n sí kára ó lè pé bá múre àtúrà dáadáa.
kókó lára ọ̀tá le. gbéra ńlẹ̀ kó dìde. kára ó lè pè ń bá. àtúrà wọ̀ àtúrà pẹ̀sẹ̀ àtúrà dáadáa. kegun tó kegun náà. kára ó yá gágá. ara ń ronú tẹ́lẹ̀ kò ronú mọ́. tẹ̀bá ti fi kára ó lè pè ń bá ra. lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ló ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọnú igun. tó sì ń ṣe àtúntò rẹ̀. òṣùbù yẹ̀kẹ́ fa párọ̀ tàbí fi ẹsẹ̀ dá. fi kára ó lè pè ń bá wọ̀. káì ara rẹ̀ ó lè padà yakinlala. action action. ó jẹ́ àwọ̀ká àròmọ̀lẹ́gun làkúègbé ara ríro tàbí ẹ̀yìn dídùn. kára ó lè pè ń bá lọ́kọ̀ gbogbo wọn. agbára pọ̀ kára ó lè pè ń bá. tuyi pharmaceutical industries limited. àwọn tó lórúkọ tó ṣe é gbẹ́kẹ̀lé níbi ká po oògùn òyìnbó ló ṣe é. kára ó lè pè ń bá. ẹ̀rọ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ pín ìrèpàtú òpèrè ta pàtà pọ́npọ́n. kára ó lè pè ń bá. ó kì í síbẹ̀.
kára ó lè pé bá múre àtúrà dáadáa.
Man knows Nigeria, understands the people, and knows how to get Nigeria back on the road to growth. His capacity to navigate numerous industries towards growth and expansion is tested and trusted. No one needs to show Atiku Abubakar how to move Nigeria forward through challenges and onto greatness. He already has a sure plan, a strategist in entrepreneur and job creator. Atiku Abubakar knows Nigeria, knows our people, and knows the world. Atiku for sure.
PDP! Power to the people!
Sponsored by the Atiku Okowa Organizing for Action.
àjọ̀dún oníkádùn ìlú òmùaran tún dé o òmùaran festival 2022.
òmùaran ní ìlú mi o gbogbo ọmọ òmùaran ẹ wálé ẹ jẹ́ kájọ ṣe kájọ gbèlú bàbá wa lárugẹ.
láṣẹ ìgbélárugẹ àṣà àti ìṣẹ̀ṣe ìlú bàbá ẹni ló ń sọ nínú ojúlówó ọmọ ìlú òmùaran development association oda ló ń ké sí gbogbo ọmọ ìlú òmùaran ní tìlé toko àti gbogbo èèyàn pátápátá síbi òmùaran festival 2022 friday 30 december 2022 ni yóò gbéra sọ pẹ̀lú bọ́ọ̀lù apanilẹ́rìn novelty match àti àṣànà tó bá di ọjọ́ saturday 31st december 2022 ohun gangan ni ayẹyẹ yóò wáyé láago 10 òwúrọ̀ ní government secondary school òmùaran lábẹ́ alága ọjọ́ náà alhaji ganiyu ọláyínká oyèdèpọ̀ tí gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ sí kókó zaria olóyè solomon adémọlá adébóyè onígẹmọ tìlú òmùaran àwọn alága obìnrin mrs kemi ọládùn ní fájánà jp aláṣẹ àti olùdarí twins fájánà nigeria limited tó wà ní kọ̀túnlẹ̀kọ̀ àti alájà dr mariam bọ́láńlé yusuf kamwaya special guest of honour the executive governor of kwara state his excellency abdulrahman abdulrazak father of the day bishop david oyedepo councillor covenant and landmark university chief host comrade dide onyiloye tic chairman irekwadu local government kwara state royal father of the day his royal majesty ọba abdulrahim ọládélé adéòtí olóhùn ẹ̀fọ̀n kejì olóhùn tìlú òmùaran ẹ̀já wálé kájọgbé àṣà àti ìlú bàbá wa ga dr oyèbọ̀dé ali dúrótoyè chairman planning committee retired major general ọláyẹmí abidoye national president oda fún àlàyé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ ẹ pè sórí 08034359536 òmùaran festival 2022 ó máa loud gan.
You're listening to Diamond 88.7 FM, shining supreme.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Alright, welcome back to the Diamond Breakfast Show on Diamond 88.7 FM, and it's still the DBS. Let's move on to the second issue we'll be looking at on this edition of the Diamond Breakfast Show. which is on the issue of increase in the prices of food in Nigeria. The National Bureau of Statistics said that the prices of selected food items increased in November. This is according to the NBS Selected Food Prices Watch report for November 2022 released in Abuja on Monday. It showed that the average price of 1 kg of rice, local rice, increased on a year-on-year basis by 18.95% from 421.02 naira in November 2021 to 500.80 naira in November 2022. On a month-on-month basis, the average price of this item increased by 2.7.3% from 487.47 naira recorded in October. The report said that the average of 1 kg of tomato on a year-on-year basis rose by 30.18% from 350.15 naira in November 2021 to 455.13 in November 2022. With these statistics, what would you say? Because I feel like there's fire on the mountain.
Well, fire has been on the mountain for a very long time. It's not today that fire has been on the mountain. The food prices skyrocketing is not this year's alone issue. It has been an issue that has always been whenever any festival season is approaching or we are in the festive season. But why this year is somehow been aggravated is because this issue of insecurity, where these bandits have taken over the farms, especially in some states in the northern Nigeria, where some of these staple items, especially grains, beans, and tomato, were being taken into the country, into this southern part of the country. We're having these security challenges. There is no how we will not have food shortage. And once food insecurity sets in, I have the fear that every other things in this country will be in danger, because an hungry man is an angry man. And so let us forget about all the languages or big grammar MBS is speaking. They are doing their job by telling us this is what is happening in the market. Everybody that visits markets knows this on daily basis, unless you are not somebody that used to visit the market.
Even if you don't visit the market and you buy from your area, you would have felt the increase.
Why I say not visiting the market? Those who have that power and the resources at their disposal, they don't visit markets. Those that are making policy for us are not visiting markets. What they do is that they do budgeting, and it is the budget that their domestic whatever will go and do. Once you tell them this year is increased, okay, no problem. That is the person determined for the multitude of Nigeria. And how will you now tell me with all this big grammar, he is less concerned? Those power brokers that are designing the policies for us. And so far we are unable to go, the farmers are unable to go to market. Where will you produce the food? I mean, the farmers were unable to go to farm. Where will you produce the food? For whom? And let me tell you, the issue of rice is another case entirely. Rice is becoming gold as far as this country is concerned. The other time that they close border, that they should not bring any imported rice, that want to grow what we eat. How far have we gone? Now they open the border again, whether partially, whether fully. Rice has been coming. Then any difference? What we are saying is that it's not about designing a policy. How this policy will be implemented successfully. The federal government is talking about anchor borrower program in terms of giving the sum of 2 billion naira. So those who call rice farmers, then let us ask the CBN governor, what has been the turnout or the effect of this anchor borrower program in the last 6 years? Because if you say you invested in a program for over 6 years, people have been farming using this money, then automatically we shouldn't even have problem of having this rice problem in this country again, if the money is given to the right person. Because there's a difference between farmers and political farmers. There's a difference between farmers and those who call themselves the administrative farmers. The administrative farmers are those the big oga in the ministries. They know how to corner it, put some names there, and get this money done. The political farmers are those that were belonging to one party or the other, that knows who and who in the CPN, that will bring them out this money. All this money were used for different things, not about rice production, not about maize production, not about beans production. So what are we now talking? We cannot build something on nothing. If you are saying there is high skyrocketed of food and what have you in the country, have we been farming? Let me tell you, there is no country that can successfully technologically revolutionize if agriculture is not revolutionized. You need a revolution, because even under the J.J. Rosto identify 5 stages of development. The first stage, which is traditional and rudimentary stage, done with about subsistence agriculture and what have you, but is the first stage. These stages is still the stages Nigeria is for all this while. Where in the advanced world they've got to the 5th stage, that is the stage of high mass production. There. Now, after the first stage, the second stage is the precondition for takeoff. When you are saying the precondition for takeoff, what are those things? The first thing is that to solve hunger problem. And how will you solve hunger problem? It's about agricultural revolution. Before the industrial revolution in Europe by 1800, the first thing that preceded industrial revolution was the agricultural revolution. And we can say it with all manner of historical records, that the slaves or abolition of slave trade was not because they love the black man or they love those that are enslaved there, but because of development of some machineries that can work, and they see that the human power or human labor is no more needed in the farm again. Therefore, they have to discard slavery. And that was why you can see they now say abolition of slave trade, the humanitarian organization should handle that. Why the government now focus on the production of goods and services. And as a result of that, they now say, okay, if we now have overproduction and underconsumption, what shall we look at? Let's look for the other outlets where all these our foods can be marketed profitably. And that was what led to colonization. You can see there is no how a country will say you are developing if you have not solved agricultural revolution. And this agricultural revolution must go beyond hoe and cutlasses.
Now
we have to go into farm plantations, farm in terms of farm mechanizations. Where do we have to go? Every state should look inward.
Now that you have mentioned this, we remember that Nigeria used to be self-sufficient in terms of food production in the past. We used to be have self-sufficient. A lot of things have gone wrong, and a contributing factor is farmer headers clashes, as you have mentioned,
yes,
and also the issue of
the terrorism,
insecurity. Now, looking at this, it has a whole lot of effects on an average Nigerian, on us, on laymen, and all of that.
The standard of living generally.
So, how do you think that Nigeria as a country can put a stop to this problem? Because,
as I was saying, every state need to look inward. The state governors need to, as a matter of urgency, look at how they can invest massively in agriculture. If you are saying you are providing enabling environment for industry, with the industry going to be built on what?
Now, if they invest in agriculture and there's still no security, that's why I brought up the issue of insecurity and farmer headers clash. How can we, manage that situation and then put what we want to put in to get maximum results?
You see, if we say we are managing the security on one hand and we are not investing, the resultant effect is this inflation we are seeing now. The two must go
hand in hand,
pari passu. When the federal government is managing that, the state should also manage the security and protect the farmers. You cannot say you are trying to resolve the security by putting up some other mechanisms to secure the country and your people are in hunger. You will see that the moment you take the first step forward, you are 10 steps backward. When you are dealing with security issues, you should also be investing. And that will be, how are we protecting the farms? How are we protecting the farmers? How are we giving enabling environment for those that will produce food? One of the enabling environment is to provide security. One of enabling environment is to provide incentives. The enabling environment is to give these supportive services in terms of what we call extension services, in terms of logistics, in terms of infrastructure, create good road and what have you. You cannot say you are trying to fight insecurity and other aspect of governance is left unturned. Therefore, I said, and I still want to say it, every state, every local government look inward and see how they can invest more in agriculture. Let me tell you, I can cite the example of Kebbi. Kebbi under Adamu Aleru were able to invest more in this agriculture, especially in this irrigation farming. That was what led to the issue of this breakthrough, as in terms of tomato production, in terms of chili pepper production, and all other production, majorly from this part of, this Kebbi state. When you get to Aleru today, where that governor come, no community, I can say it, even no local government in the whole of the northwest Nigeria produce the number of onions they produce in Aleru. Because of that, that is a revolution. When you get to some of these areas, whether during the dry season, whether during the rainy season, they are doing their farming. Unfortunately, this issue of banditry actually at least send many of them away from the farm. However, it's now the responsibility of government to see how they can get them back to farm and at the same time protect them.
All right, thank you so much. You can join in the conversation and let's know what you think about any of the topics that we are discussing on the Diamond Breakfast Show today. Send me a text message on 080 299 269 51 080 299 26951, and to call in on the show it's 091 3655 6952. Once again, the number to call is 091 3655 6952. I have this text message here and it says the office farmers get more loan than the field farmers.
Yes, office farmers.
And they divert the purpose. Please, what is the way out? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Kola Alashoke from Tatombo.
All right, we can hear you.
The issue of Boko Haram and the banter and everything. Our security is totally right. Even our Buhari is fine. One, let the judiciary stand at the judiciary. Let it go to Borno. Borno close the face of somebody who wants to tackle the Borno state. That is the only thing. Anything you are caught, let it go character discipline. One. That is my observation issue. The issue of the INEC.
Sorry, we're not discussing all of that. When I heard Boko Haram, I thought probably he wanted to speak to the food price hike. Sorry, we're not talking about INEC this morning. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Dr. Taj calling from Ilorin.
All right, thank you so much.
I sincerely want to commend the guest in the house. His analysis is so apt. And his comparison of the 5 stages of development by TJ Rousseau is just very, very on point. If you look at the Nigerian situation, it's quite a pity that despite our numerous resources, we have everything that it takes to feed our nation, but yet we still find ourselves in this terrible stage. It's quite a pity, and we hope things revolutionize soonest. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for calling, Doctor. Before we go, I want us to look at this issue just very shortly. So there's this issue between the federal government and ASU is actually looking like it is unending. The third issue is on a statement credited to the chairman, Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, that the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, deceived them to resume, while the federal government has failed to pay the outstanding 8 months' salary as agreed. The Academic Staff Union of Universities has accused the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, of deception by asking the union to call off its 8-month-old strike in October with a written promise that the government would, without delay, offset in full the arrears of salaries members were owed. President of the union, Professor Emmanuel Shodeke, gave this position on Tuesday in an exclusive interview with Tribune Online when he was asked to reflect on the speaker's intervention and then vice versa on the current situation of the issues with the federal government. He said that ASU had a soft spot for the speaker, and that was why the union engaged him in a discussion as a welcome intervention to resolve the stalemate between the federal government. Now we are here, and the chairman of ASU is coming out to say this again. What would you say? What is your impression on the whole matter, on the whole ASU federal government matter, and what do you think is a lasting solution? In 2 minutes, sir.
It's an unfortunate situation that this is where we still find ourselves again. As long as I don't want to actually totally align with the position of deception from the Honorable Speaker, House of Representatives. Buhemi Gbajabiamila has been a man of integrity, and he has proven that integrity in many ways. Unfortunately, if the way he's handling this he has not been successful, I don't see him as a failure. On the part of ASU as well, who are disappointed in the way the Speaker is handling the thing, every one of us must have known now that something is fundamentally wrong with the setup of Nigeria presidential system in some of let me put it where you see the presidency is doing something, the council of ministers is doing another thing, or the minister of the ministry involved is doing the same thing. The minister of labor is adamant, trying to at least make himself more important than Nigeria. Why the presidency is trying to see a way of solving this problem, you can now see two different positions. The minister is trying to see that whatever he said or want to do in his own opinion, even though he goes against what millions of Nigeria want, he will also have his way. The presidency is supposed to be the one that will pocket him and call him to the order, which that has not been happening. Automatically, there's something wrong within how orders is being given or directive is being given and now it is being implemented. The only solution I think now is for the ASU don't need to be quiet. They need to let the world know what and what has gone wrong, or what have they promised that they have not have been given to them. Then we want the honorable speakers too. This is a challenge. Let him tell us at what level he is. Then we want to appeal to the president, Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, to save the education system in Nigeria, especially public university, by trying to resolve all these issues. I've said it times without number. Call the minister, let the ASU president sit down, other stakeholders in the education sector, let them sit down, resolve this issue once and for all. It's for the interest of Nigeria, it's not for the interest of anybody. Save this public education.
All right,
please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's see if we can get one more call before we go on the show this morning. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning. My name is Abdurrashid and I'm calling from Alagbadi.
All right, thank you, Abdurrashid.
Thank you. You know, from this education, this issue that you just talked about, I think Mr. President is not ready to give what education actually requires to it. What do I mean by this? These people were on strike for almost 8 months, and there was a time the present registrar of the Professor Olowe, they came out to say publicly that the problem between us and federal government is a small thing. What from Mr. President from calling on this man? Because he was not a vice chancellor of the University of Ilorin. He knows the system. So we have a lot of professors in the system that can really be Minister of Education. Yes, you went and brought a journalist to be Minister of Education in this country. I think we are joking because Mr. President does not really have the interest of the masses at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And That will be the last call we'll be getting on. We'll be taking on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been an amazing show with you guys on the other side with us. And thank you so much, my guest, Mr. Zakaria, in the house, the HOD History Department, Kwara State College of Education, for always coming here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
And we hope that you have an amazing rest of the year, an amazing rest of the month, an amazing rest of the week and day. All right, my name is Tobi Adebisi, and this is from me to you. Have yourself an amazing rest of the day. Don't forget, you are first a Nigerian before you belong to any tribe. Take care.